This next video here is it's going to be on Davis's Grand Champion Boomerang. Now he's probably one of the most famous pit bulls in the American Pit Bull Terrier history. Right along there with any ones you want to name: Pinscher, Kager, Pilot, Bully Son, Boleo, Art, Honey Bunch, Black Widow. Name them, name them, name them. You can reel off a bunch of names, and in a lot of people's view, Boomerang is in the top 10, if not the top 5. The reason for that is there's several reasons, but the main reasons are he covers all the bases. Champion, Grand Champion, certainly enough dogs to make ROM, whether he's a recognized ROM or not. POR, same thing. Great producer. Numerous people used his blood, direct sons off of him, and progeny on down the line. People created their own family of dogs based around him, including Ronnie Duhan, Iberian Club, LA Dream Team, Louis Vinagro, Captain America. Just a lot of people. Drew Favre, and even Doucette had some of it, I think, and not to mention Baker Davis himself. So Boomerang was he was one of the earliest recognized grand champions in the Sporting Dog Journal Pit Bull Report. Stubblefield's Grand Champion Buddy, I believe, was the first recognized Grand Champion, and I believe Boomerang and Grand Champion Hank followed suit. So he's right up there at the top. He had a storied career. Like I said, 5-time winner. One of his most notable victories was over Howard Teal. If you look in the old magazines, you see Teal all over the place. As a conditioner, competitor, breeder, Howard T is how you'll see it a lot of times in Pete Sparks' Your Friend and Mine magazine. So Boomerang beat him. I forget the other opponents, but it was 5 top opponents, because at the time Florida was a hotbed, one of the hotbeds of pit bull competition, along with the surrounding states of the Carolinas, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, just and Baker Davis competed in a lot of those areas, and against a lot of the famous dogmen from that era, which would be late 60s, early 70s. Davis competed for years. I would venture to say his top 3 male dogs were Grand Champion Boomerang, Champion Midnight Cowboy, and Champion Shivo. Most notably, those 3 is what he's known for. And Boomerang himself was sired by Carver's Pistol, or Pistol Jr., was a 2-time winner, who was sired by Elias's Pistol. The Elias brothers had the original Pistol. And his dam was a 2-time winner, Carver's Miss Spike, very famous female. She's off of Tudor Spike and Womack's Mert. Pistol was off of, like I said, Elias's Pistol and Carver's D. There's a story about Pistol. I guess the brothers were arguing over something. I'm not sure if it was the dog. Something had to do with the dog Pistol. One of the reasons you don't see him in a lot of pedigrees, because during that argument, one of them, as the story goes, just got pissed off and went put Pistol down. That's why you don't see him in a lot of pedigrees. That was his demise, and that was the end of it. But again, Carver had Pistol, his own Pistol, or Pistol Jr., and bred him to Miss Spike, and that's what produced Boomerang. Again, he's one of those dogs, being from Carver, there's discrepancies over his His breeding, of course, a lot of people like always say he's off of Iron Head, whatever. The one thing that has to be noted is all those supposed breedings or how they're really bred or this or that, whether it's Boomerang, Pistol, Iron Head, Snooty, Snake, all them dogs, they're all related in some manner and they throw similar traits. That widow's peak with the black mask and the, sometimes a dirty buckskin or, red and like that. A lot of those dogs looked that way, had those same markings, including Honey Bunch and, a lot of the stuff from Jake Kaler and Ed Crenshaw that Carver used, used their dogs or was in partnership with them or whatever you want to call it. They all have similar markings. So if you see a dog from Carver and go, well, that's really Ironhead, it could really be Pistol, it could really be Honey Boy, it could really be, uh, you know, uh, the stuff down from Freddie Jones, um, Gimp and Reno, all that stuff. They could all have similar markings and similar builds. If you notice, you see pictures of Boomerang. There's videos of him working a cat mill, and there's pictures of him all over. He has similar build and marking to all them dogs like that, which in later breedings, dog females he was bred to, and beyond that, you'll see the patches on them, spotted dogs, pure white Boomerang dogs. Well, that's in there too through Miss Spike and Arts Missy and all that, you know. Um, so regardless of how all those dogs were bred, basically, including Bolio, most of them are related. The important thing is that he was a Carver dog or bred by Carver, and one of those dogs that was, well bred, revered, had the record to back it up. Um, he had several litter mates. One of them, who was famous, came to be famous at the time, but not well known, was Willie Brown's champion Nell. She was a 4-time winner. That was Boomerang's sister. Uh, Willie Brown was the one who handled Benny Bob, I believe, in his loss to Jimmy Boots. So Willie Brown was another Texas dog man. He's also the one, I believe, that beat Going Like Barney. And I believe, in my opinion, Champion Nell was one of his best dogs, male or female. So another littermate would be Arts Missy, very famous 2-time winner. She was bred to Stompanato. She was bred to a lot of, not a lot, but several males. Produced a lot of good dogs. Foundations were built off of her, Another littermate, there's some discrepancy over whether he's a littermate, but either way, he's bred similar, was Petronelli's Fox. Petronelli's were from Massachusetts. They ended up getting Carver dogs and Carver bred dogs from Maurice and those type. They had Petronelli's Pete, was a Corbino Carver dog. They're the ones that had the famous Sioux Boy dog, who was a 2-time winner and lost in over 2 hours. They also got Fox from Carver, and Fox became a 1-time winner. His one victory was over Jack Kelly in 47 minutes. Jack Kelly was the editor of the Sporty Dog Journal. So as you can see, there's a lot of connections between all these dog men, north, south, east, and west. Of course, the Boomerang dogs came all the way out west and probably throughout the world in later years, and even dogs bred down from Fox, crossed with the Uptown Boys champion Snubby Bitch. Those dogs went to Europe. They were real competitive at the time. Irish Tim and those guys up in New York had that blood. and through Fox Jr. And they went to Europe through King. I think it was who was it? King Limey or Limey Kennels, who had champion Spade. That alligator bully son stuff. They crossed that with the Fox champion Snubby stuff. Real successful with that blood. And there was another one named Rudy Tutti. He was out in Arizona. He was a one-time winner. Not much on that dog. I don't think he was even bred much or did anything past that one win. I don't know the quality, his quality, or who his competition was, but I do remember him being that dog, in a dog in Arizona that did win. Like I said, Petronelli's Fox. So you have Boomerang, champion Nell, Fox, Arts Missy, and Tutti, all from the same litter, all winners. Boomerang was a great producer. Some of the best match dogs and producers came from him. Such notables as Lloyd's champion Gator. Everybody there's Rick Sorrells had that stuff, and even Ronnie Duhan had stuff bred down from that. Miss Poohall Red, very famous 5-time winner, 2-time loser. She had a sister named Julie, another one named Morphine. Some say it's the same female, who knows, but they were litter mates to Miss Poohall Red, also winners. There's Divine's Bruce, of course, David Don and David Divine, the father and son team. They had Bruce, was a 3-time winner, big dog up in the 50s, I believe. He was bred to Divine's Patty, who was a sister to Grand Champion Art. They produced good dogs from that litter. Giroux's champion Patty, Andre Giroux from Canada, ended up with Patty. He became a 3-time winner, another son of Boomerang. Johnson's Zeb, he's a very famous 2-time winner. Holt's Redneck, another one. Alexander's, I have notes here. Amos Moses, the Alexander Sweet William came down from Amos Moses. And those dogs were primarily in the South. There was also another 2-time winner named Geronimo. And of course, Bert Sorrells, Miss Boomerang, was a daughter of Boomerang. He ended up with her out in Arizona. But that Zeb and Amos Moses, Geronimo, Sweet William, I had a little bit of that stuff from Boyles. That's where those dogs are where Boyles Ready comes from, the dam of Grand Champion Queen of Hearts. Those dogs were hot during the South, winning and losing. The Jasper dog lost to Vindicator. Zeb went a long time trying to get a third match. I don't think he ever did, but a highly regarded dog. And Davis did end up crossing the Midnight Cowboy Shibo stuff with the Boomerang stuff. And you guys can look up those dogs and see what it produced. In my opinion, the Boomerang dogs that I was familiar with, that I saw, and I had one, I didn't do too well with her. I lost with her. She quit in a match. But they all, the ones I saw, exhibited a style of speed and power and good mouth. That's what I really liked about them. They're well-built animals. Just great athletes, And I guess maybe why I don't know why they called him Boomerang. Maybe because he kept coming back. But in all his matches, I don't think any of the dogs survived, or they ended up quitting. He didn't. He maybe his longest match was 55 minutes. You know, I don't think he ever went over an hour. But just a high class, devastating type of dog that had it all. There's people that will pit Boomeran at his weight that would have, you know, against any dog of any era at the same weight. 39 pounder. He was that good. And like I said, a good producer. The LA Dream Team, which the captain called the Blood, the Boom, that was their foundation. And they crossed their Boomerang dogs with all kinds of stuff, even OFRN stuff. Smith and Walton's grad champion Badger stuff, and they crossed it with, you know, uh, the Hank blood. You know, that was a very successful uh, cross. Vinagro made that cross, and he said those grand champion Hank Boomerang dogs, they were straight up bulldogs. None of the turning and stuff like that some of the Hank dogs are known for. Just straight up bulldogs. Well, LA Dream Team did the same thing, you know, and they had their primarily straight Boomerang dogs, like you know, champion Jesse James. All their stuff had Boomerang in it. We beat Jesse James. I refereed champion Wyatt's third win in over 2 hours. You know, he was a fast, smart dog with a good mouth. The only reason, not the only reason, but one of the reasons he went 2 hours was because his opponent was a very good dog, very game dog, just rugged and durable, determined, just wouldn't quit. Saw champion, what was her name? Little female, Little Bit. Saw her. I think she won in less than 30 minutes. She won on the same card that she beat Chainsaw, and she won on the same card that we beat Chainsaw with Mr. Rowdy as well. There were 2 shows that day, and the LA Dream Team was one of them. Them guys used to match, you know, back then probably 10 or 15 dogs a year. So if you're looking at 10 or 15 dogs, how many matches is that? Because they would do them more than once if they could. You know, they might have had on average 20 matches a year. They were that active, fought everybody. All that Boomerang blood that they successfully line bred and tight bred and outcrossed and loose line bred. They were just real competitive dogs, you know. Like anybody else, won some good matches, lost some. Won more than they won. I mean, won more than they lost. That's a sign of consistency. The Irish Kid had a female also bred down from the Moonshine dog that he crossed. What did he call her? Red Girl? I think her name was Irish Kid's Red Girl. Pretty much straight Boomerang female. He crossed her with the inbred Jeep male, the Bucky dog. Got Little Buck. And then he crossed Bucky with the Boleo female. And produced good dogs from that. And then he ended up crossing those 2 together to make his family of dogs. So it was Jeep male bred to a Boomerang female and a Boleo female. And he tightened up on that. A lot of good dogs from that. Little Buck was a badass dog. He was never matched, but one of the best I ever seen. Kind of resembled Art in his appearance. His athletic ability was way up there. Good mouth, hard biter, fast, you know, and a good producer. They had several winners off of a relatively small amount of dogs, you know, and tight bred dogs. Jeep dogs, but with Boomerang Boleo crosses, you know. Again, you know, a lot of people use that blood, and there were a lot of dogs from that. Champion Rawhide, and, you know, just too many to name, you know, here, there, and everywhere. Short order cooks, long distance winners. A lot of guys in the South used it, and they made their way all throughout the country. That's how good Boomerang was. So this is a little bit of what I recollect from the Boomerang dogs And again, he belongs up there with the greats, the all-time greats. Hope you enjoyed the vid. And again, thank you for your contributions. If you want something covered, hit up my, you know, um, Cash App or Super Thanks, and I'll get your video up right away. Other than that, I put it on the list and I get to it when I get to it. But I appreciate everybody's support. Thanks.